difficult to do all this stuff. Still, that being said, it happens, and they come about. The grant you said, for Divine, the thing we don't know is how long they applied for that. I mean, and how long it takes. So anyway, nonetheless, I think we can probably get Fred to do that, or somebody to do that, staff, just so we can look at it and see. But we've got probably 3 million or better out there that we've got a pretty good chance of coming, and then we need to match some of that. Part of the staff, or council, I'll share with you right now. One of the travel expenses I'd like to cut is I'm not big on going to DC. I have talked to Ernie about giving us some data about, okay, you take everybody, all of his groups up there, what's the return on that? What, from the whole perspective, and let's look at some analysis on that. When you look at the numbers, and I understand there's real disappointment, and I can't quote the exact numbers, but I talked to Tony, specifically our congressman, about these earmarks and things, and he's got 140 cities, and he gets 12 earmarks, and so your odds are about 10% that you'll get it, and 90% you're not. That being said, somebody does get it, and we can make that pitch for it, but I'm not convinced that that's a best use of our dollars to do that. To send the whole council up there, or even if we need to go, I want to look at those numbers and see how successful he's been. I think everybody that really wanted to go has had a chance to go. I think it has real value to do that, but whether it pays dividends, I'm not convinced. And so I'd like to see that data and look at it personally. And I mean, I'm game to hear y'all's input. I think the trip to Austin, which is a little shorter, quicker. I'm not saying that it doesn't have value, DC or Austin, but if we were to do one, I think we'd get a whole lot more value out of doing the Austin one than out of the DC one. We can get up there and get back. And one of the things that's important, Fred and I met with Ernie just the day before yesterday or yesterday. We need to create an agenda. We need to. Okay, what is the priorities? Economic development, housing, infrastructure. And then when we go to Austin, we need to specifically sit down and talk with those people. If you remember the last time we went 2 years ago, we sat down with TxDOT and there were 2 guys at TxDOT, which were really pushing to have that access road, which, folks, it's going to happen. Within the next 10 years, there will eventually be one. But the sooner that we can do that, the more we're going to be able to develop and bring economic advantage to our community. So those kind of things, and we're going to be doing that. The council is going to create an agenda with the help of Ernie, with the help of Fred, to then earmark exactly who we're going to go talk to. Should we do that? But that's me. We can talk more about it. Mayor Pro Tem, you had a comment about that, but I'm not big on until we really see some value of what's happened overall of the return on our investment, because that is a very expensive trip.
I honestly would disagree, because we've been going to Austin since I've been in council, when I started back in 2011, and we've been seeing very little coming back from the state. We've only gone to DC, I'm gonna say twice in 1 year, maybe 1 year period. And going to DC, we were able to create that summit that's being done here, in which we've never been able to create nothing with the state. Going to DC twice, I think it was very educational. It was very informative. We met a lot of different departments, got a lot of creative ideas, and DC was able to give us direct contact people in the state level that they said, if they don't reply to you or they don't respond, give us a call and we'll make sure they get to you in an appropriate timely manner.
I'm willing to have the conversation. I mean, of course, it's up to council. But this is my feeling.
I mean, of course, it's up to everyone.
Yeah, but then, okay, if we decide to do that, maybe 1, maybe 2, go just as a liaison. And again, y'all, our conversation with Fred this week was, Ernie, let's see some tangible stuff. I mean, there's things he's doing, and he's already gotten revenue for us. The grant at the playground, the grant for the cops, so we've had some benefit from that. But I really want to see tangible stuff, and not, to your point, Mayor Pro Tem, it does have value. There's no doubt about that. But show me some numbers. Show me some tangible stuff that I can present to you and that I can present to the citizens.
That cop, was that the one that we got from DC?
Yes, sir.
Dude, say that CUP grant, we learned about that in DC, the one where they paid for,
Yes, that's that's part of I think it's 65,000 for a 3-year period, so it's
Yeah.
$180,000 give or take.
so that was something beneficial that we grabbed from there.
Yeah, and we got 200,000 for the playground, so it's paying some dividends, and this is we're in our second year.
Second, go ahead.
We're like 18 months in a relationship with Ernie.
Something like that. I don't-
So, and I'm grateful, and I'm grateful for that, but I wanna see some tangible, and so that's, again, ready to have the discussion, but, Fred's asking for stuff from that's my perspective, and so you guys, we're looking for that now. We've been blessed, we haven't had to raise taxes, and we've been able to still create a buffer, thank the Lord, and Fred and administration have been able to, guys, to think about this, so we're spending 1.2 million at the wastewater treatment plant out of cash. That's kudos to our administrators, that we don't have to borrow that money, and we still have a little bit left, So anyway, we've been operating in the black, and we haven't had to raise taxes, and I don't think anybody really wants to do that, but we need, if we can't find some areas to cut. So I think the point is, we just gotta prioritize, is this a priority? And do we need to send 6 or 8 people up there, or do we need to go to Austin? I mean, I'm willing to have the conversation, and I know there's things that we need to do, but anyway,
Part of
that's
that,
me.
part of that whole deal, and again, part of what, and I hate to give a percentage, but if we're looking at a 5 to 10% cut amongst the departments, then that's what we're gonna have to do. And part of that is, again, cutting those, certain things, and part of what I'm suggesting is there's gonna have to be cuts, and so the question becomes is, where do we cut from, right? Do we cut from, quite frankly, do we cut from salaries, benefits, do we cut from community promotions, all the activities, the different events that we have? Will we spend out of general fund $30,000-$40,000 for just community promotions? Those are all the events that Bianca highlighted. All those events to that end is cost dollars, travel expenses, to include myself, and again, council. Those are things that I can think off the top that, we're gonna look at, we have to at least consider.
And I'll make a statement, I think you guys probably share this, is we're blessed. When you look over this, Crystal and, our city manager, Hector over there, Ram, Rudy, these guys, we can't even consider cutting salaries, our benefits. I mean, we got some all-stars here that we're blessed to have, that, the picture was right, the 8-handed person trying to do stuff. So anyway, we've gotta look at these things.
Why don't we go into numbers?
What do you mean?
We can look at it.
Let's go, like, all these numbers, let's go through all of it.
Yeah, if you wanna go through everyone,
Yeah.
I'm
The
all
only,
in it.
Fred, the other question I have for you, when's the last time we gave that one-time incentive payment?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
So we did 2 years, we did a one-time pay, we did some increases last year based on the study, can't recall. And then, but we've done it at least once since I've been here, at least once, maybe twice. And I've been here for 5 years. But the challenging part for us, council member, like anything else, is the continuation of salary increases. And again, some of these are merited and deserved. The increases, salary increases, and again, when we start talking about revenues, which primarily, again, going back to revenues, or revenue streams are primarily property tax, sales tax, and utilities. Those are your major revenue streams. And so, when there's no increases to property taxes, and there's a fluctuation of sales tax, which has historically been happening with Pearsall. Normally for us, the history that I've seen, when the oil business is good, and when there's like in this case, construction, where you have some of these solar farm plants that are being built, people are spending money, right? And so you see those sales tax numbers spike. It's when those new jobs are gone, these people are no longer here, or there's no the oil field activity. And I'll show you a graph from during the proposed budget of how things were during COVID. During COVID, you see your sales tax numbers we were struggling. We struggled because one of our primary sales taxpayers wasn't selling product because nobody was moving cars. So we saw that here. And so that's one of we do have retail. Right now, retail, if you look at sales tax, retail's still driving it. We still have retail But right behind that or right next to it is people that are, businesses that are in the oil industry. And people that provide that service to the oil industry, is what makes up our sales tax. But I'll go over that information with each council member. And again, part of what I wanna make sure of, and I'm glad Councilmember Leal, I'm glad he brought it up, I'd love to go over each individual budget.
And real quick, I'm just saying that because I would like, and I'm not speaking, I guess, in the council, I would like an incentive pay across the board. I mean, we've
It
seen
is.
the hard work and dedication for these employees
Yes, sir.
out there in the city. So why are we just trying to do this full time and,
What I've seen council members, when somebody's on, when they're on probation, they don't make it, you give them the incentive, or let's just put it the other way, you give them the incentive outright in one lump sum. So what we do is we spread it out. So what we'll do is, I think we gave $750, and $500 over a 6-month period. I believe that's what we did last time.
I would agree with something like that, because, I mean, if,
People will leave after they get their incentive, I'll put it that way. That'll be one, not all, some people, some are people, they're good people. But you'll have that where somebody will leave, you'll have others where they're on probation, they don't work out, you pay them an incentive.
you have to have confidence in your employees.
I do.
Right? You have to have confidence because they are your people who do the work for you.
But on
And
the other
so,
end is,
when we talk about salaries, and you're increasing salaries at about $9,000 to $10,000, the public is seeing that, and they wanna make sure that we're increasing your salary, but I wanna see these results on,
oh, absolutely,
you know?
no,
So-
I agree.
But, you know, we have to look at what we have.
Part of it, we're just talking like, I'll give you an example, when you've been here, somebody's been here 40 years, and they've seen an increase of $10 a year, you can attribute that strictly to COLA, meaning just the cost of living is what considerations, and part of it could be to that end, is there was just no money in the budget, right? There was no way of paying these people more money. Again, that could be the argument, right? But in saying that, part of what I consider is also, is again, people that are sticking around, one, and then not knowing people, if they're gonna make it here, not some people, particularly, and I'll say this, particularly in public works. I mean, there for a while, they're doing pretty good, I don't want to jinx anything. We had people that turned over there, like, it just turned over. And you have certain jobs that just turn over on a regular basis, and we're always looking, but by doing that, and we also have to put in some parameters, meaning you just get here and I'm gonna go ahead and give you an incentive, I don't know about that. And so those are the things, the safeguards as far as I'm concerned, that you have to consider and say, okay, as an employer, do I wanna just go ahead and, you just started your first week and I'm gonna give you an incentive of X amount with no parameter.
Do we have any part-time? How many part-time people do we have? Two.
Two.
Those-
I don't even know if those were included. I can't recall those were included in the, is it pay incentive? Were they included in the one-time pay, part-time? Do you remember?
We didn't have it. We didn't have a part-time at that time.
We'll make that
We'll make
consideration,
consideration.
part-time employees, but,
well, part-time, but if they've been here for 3 months, I would,
Yeah.
yes.
I
So-
gotta be here minimum 6 months or something.
But I'm glad that you brought up the budgets, and so any questions you may have,
So Fred, I see over here on, Public Information Office,
yes, sir?
I see an increase in decorations for downtown holiday, 9,000 increase.
Yep. That was a request.
We already bought them.
Already bought?
Yeah.
It is, James, I will say that it is a painful thing to talk about. If you ask me, do I think we need decorations, I take them all down, but that's me being Scrooge. But I know you've had decorations in there for 7, 8 years, the ones we have, that are out there.
That's, I mean, that's tradition, man. When I was a kid, we had, you can't get rid of them.
Why?
Because
No, I'm teasing, I'm on camera, so I can't, but part of that is there's requests to actually, to get new lighting.
And some
Bianca,
council
you-
members
Bianca's
have
been-
reached out to me,
Requesting
wanting,
lighting.
yes.
Improved lighting, because our lighting that we have now, apparently there's lights and bulbs that don't turn on, and, that's my understanding, I don't, but anyway, yes, that's one of the requests is making the downtown area and that area look better by improved Christmas lighting. To your point, is it something that we need to consider cutting? Potentially, yes.
we can even go ask for donations. We really don't have to waste.
Yes, sir. I
I
have
mean,
plenty of ways.
we can ask your HEB, I think I'm gonna go with you just a minute. You know,
Well, it's,
we can ask, I don't think we have to make such of a big expense. I mean, the community just wants to see some movement.
Yes, sir.
And that was a lot of the discussion last year. I don't know if y'all had seen on our social media, during Christmas time, they were like, oh, what if, you know, there was a comment that said, you know, oh, if they were to give me the decorations, I'll go up and do it, you know?
Is this decorating public tourism?
I'd defer to the city attorney. I would say not, but I would say that it's.
Can we raise that question up?
We can ask them.
Because, we're buying Christmas decorations for the Public Works Department. I mean, not the Public Works, parks,
Downtown, the downtown.
downtown.
Yes.
And for a parade that brings in people from out of town.
Yeah, amen.
No.
I'd be a lot more looser with that hotel motel money than.
Well, don't be too loose with it.
I'm just saying,
Looser,
maybe this is
looser.
an area that we could actually discuss with Bobby and see if we could participate, I can't even talk.
Yeah.
We could possibility take those funds out of the hotel motel tax.
Yes, you
I do see also a lot of red in the finance department.
All right, what page, where are you?
They don't have a big number, but it's finance.
What are you looking at?
Do you want,
Page one?
can we do this, can we just let them finish up the presentations and we can go over, is that okay with you? I mean, to
Yeah,
let them.
we'll finish up, we'll have to finances next. Did you have anything else, Fred?
I do not, I think that's it, right?
And then, what do we got, finance and then streets?
I don't know, who's next?
Finance.
Crystal, who's next? Crystal?
Finance.
Finance.
Wait, so how many more? Finance and who?
Yeah,
We
you guys, let
need-
me see what time it is.
Streets, 8.
8:02.
Okay.
We have several, so,
Yeah, you have like 6 or 7.
yes. Continue.
I mean, I think we could all read.
Well, you still see the numbers at home too?
Mine's short, so
Okay,
you wanna
awesome.
stop after that? So with my department, of course, I'm on the numbers and the money, that's why you see the red. I try to really reduce a lot of these line items where I could. On the salary section, you see a huge, drop there of the 64,000 on the budget itself. And this one is on just the utilities fund, but I'm going through the budget itself, so I'll start there. So on the agenda, we'll go through financial overview. We're gonna do the utilities revenues first. So based on the projected budget, which is the operating revenue, it was slightly increased. So we will, that will in turn strengthen our reserves that we have built. Mr. Reyes has definitely built that up, so we have that. Unfortunately, the way our budgets have been working in the last couple of years, we're spending more than we're making. And so that's cutting into the reserves. So it's kind of like our savings account. It just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So we have to try to, that's where he's talking about balancing the budget. If we don't balance it, we don't even it out, we're gonna cut into our savings and have to use that up. So on this one, you can see the utilities fund. As we're going through this, you can see that this kind of underscores our commitment to the financial stability and positioning for us for that sustained growth. These expenditures are currently depicted in summation only. As you can see from just looking at the expenditures in this line item, we are overexpended for the next budget year, which we are now currently in this budget year. Again, as I'm explaining, it's kind of like just using up our reserves or our savings as we go through this. One of the projects that, Crystal, do you want to go into the next one? You can see here in summary what that looks like as a percent and change on the revenue. That's an increase of 2%. However, on the operating expenses, it's an increase of 5%, which is more than what, we're increasing our revenues by. So that net profit or loss is basically we're increasing our loss by 9%. We've been negative as far as our operating margin goes in the last few years. So that cash reserves needed just on the utility side is almost $3 million. Again, if we don't increase our water utility rates, if we don't increase property taxes, if we don't increase any of these taxes, any of these things that are gonna generate that revenue, we're just gonna keep cutting into our savings, and that's not a good, yes, I know, Councilman, that's not a good thing. Again, I'm looking at the reality of things and trying to make sure and explain it. So as we go through that, if you go to the next one, please. Here's the finance budget, where you saw a lot of the red on there, Councilman Moran. So on the finance department budget, again, I'm all about the money and trying to save can. So what we did do is I went ahead and moved around or reorganized my staff between utility and finance. Some of the utility salaries and wages were being allocated out of the finance, which isn't kind of working. Basically, all utilities personnel needs to come out of the utilities fund, and only finance needs to come out of finance. So that's where you see that movement there. Again, what I did try to do is reduce what we were spending on operating supplies, for example, consultants, audit services. I know where we can save money there. That's where all of that red is coming in. Those are